am back from China. Want the proof? It is only in China that everything is a blind box, including arcane goodies that are in cooperation with Bilibili. I don't even know what this is, so you know what? Let's open this. That reminds me, some of my Riftbound packages arrived, and so I'll be opening them on stream, which means I'm gonna be streaming again after about a year of not streaming. Anyway, what is this? Apparently this entire thing is just one pin. What? Anyway, I'm back, which means it is time to go back into videos. And I'll be honest, there is a lot of stuff that I want to talk about. We have to talk about Zaahen, as in the champion in-game, because he's not a Squidward after all. There is also the Winter Summoner's Rift that we have to talk about. And it would be a good idea to turn the China trip into a vlog. And so, to start quickly with minimal editing, we can do one thing. We can dive into Zaahen's voice lines. Because I've heard that these are good, and you know what? It's been a while since we got really cool detailed voice lines. The last ones for Yunara were fine, but this is Darkin lore, and everyone loves Darkin lore. And as always, a Hailskin spotlight for Brim making this real.
Rise, Hawk Emperor. I pledge no loyalty to an unfit leader.
Hawk Emperor. Is he the first one who called Azir that? But it's also interesting that he calls him an unfit leader. As far as I know, the vast majority of the God Warriors thought that Azir was the best. There were some people, especially those who are lower in the society, who didn't like Azir, but it's interesting to see one of the Ascended think that. I think that's technically a new one.
Your plans will see you slain again and again, Deceiver.
Quick reference to the fact that LeBlanc has clones all over the place, and so when she dies, she doesn't die, just one of her clones disappears.
You make Oblivion your master, Aatrox, and so stand for nothing.
This is a reference to the fact that Aatrox actually kinda wants to die. He hates his body, he hates that he is technically the body of a mortal that he's constantly trying to fight over, so he's not really great. He's kinda in like a half-broken state, and he got an entire short story that's, I think, called Prison or something like that, which is where Aatrox just hates his life. He really wants to die. Which is why Oblivion would be his master.
Mortal and monster, both too deadly to spare.
Interesting enough, remember that Zaahen fought Kayn, or at least he didn't fight Kayn, he fought Rast in Ionia, which was shown in the comic. But it's also kind of funny that he doesn't care about the mortal, he wants to kill him anyway. But then again, in the comic, Zaahen was killing both the Darkin and the followers of the Darkin, so on his list, sure, Kayn is a bad guy.
Embracing the ways of a beast, Neferi, then die as one.
I don't think she embraced the way of a beast. She kind of like just became a dog because a dog picked up the dagger and that was it.
You corrupt your duty, Varus. Vengeance serves no one.
Varus is another one of those that he fought in Ionia that was also shown in the comic. But I wonder what he's referencing by saying that he's corrupting his duty. Is there a duty to like save mortals? Because technically when they were fighting for Shurima, they were still conquering the world.
Seneschal, I accept your sacrifice. Do you?
This is... Actually, I'm gonna do a little bit of a reveal of one cool information that no one talked about, because no one has this information. So when we were in China, we got a little bit of a reveal of Zaahen ahead of everyone else, and we were told, hey, after we do the Q&A, you can reveal what you learn in the Q&A after Zaahen's gameplay is revealed and he's on PBE, which is now. But everyone in that room was focusing on esports, and so I guess no one was talking about it. Yes, Xin Zhao willingly let Zaahen take over his body. This is why you don't have the eye on the glaive, and instead the eye is on Zaahen's forehead, because technically that's Xin Zhao's forehead, but it is Zaahen. That's why. That's what the third eye on his forehead is. It is just Xin Zhao letting Zaahen take over his body, and I can't believe no one actually brought this up.
Yunara, I was never worthy of your faith.
This is a really cool reference to Yunara in the Spirit Blossom myth being the one who was following Zaahen all the way to the Spirit Realm, because in that legend she was, or Zaahen was, kinda a patron to her. And she did believe in Zaahen all the way to the end, but Zaahen always knew that a bad thing would happen in the end. Which is why this line makes sense.
I understand, Twilight. The cruel necessity to keep us sealed.
Ah, cool reference to the Twilight of the Gods, a story that we talked about on this channel about 8 separate times. It might be more. But yes, the aspect of Twilight is the one entity responsible for sealing the Darkin inside their weapons.
We cannot bar ourselves from the world any longer, Scholar.
Ooh, Nasus is a scholar, so it makes sense. But it is cool to see that Nasus technically, is not gonna be a Darkin because he did not encounter Zolani as far as we know. And so it is cool to see that Zaahen is still cautious about Nasus because who knows what might happen.
Such nobility turned to butchery.
And yes, technically Renekton was a noble. I mean, he still is a noble, but he is also kind of crazy now. And that is of course because of Zerath, because he was imprisoned, or at least he was the jailer of Zerath, and Zerath was whispering really bad things into his ear.
My queen's blade has fallen far, to the hands of a mercenary.
And that is a cool reference to the Chalikar, the legendary blade of Setaka. It was Setaka, right? It's been so long, we haven't talked about the bloodline story for so long, I forgot that the original ascendant who wielded the blade. But I'm pretty sure Chalikar was the blade of Setaka.
Our allegiance must still be proven, God Warrior.
Their allegiance makes sense, because they are still allied with Shurima, despite everything that happened there. But I do believe he's more referencing the fact that everyone hates the Ascended and everyone hates the Darkin. So if you want to prove that you are a good guy, you really have to prove yourself.
I take no joy in facing you, Demacian. I will end this swiftly.
Ooh, I mean, this is not necessarily a reference to Xin Zhao, because Xin Zhao was from Demacia, but it is obvious that the Darkin kind of know about all the different regions around the world, because the Darkin Wars just scattered all around, so he will have an idea of what's going on in Demacia.
I am not yours to wield, demon. You are mine to kill.
Oh, this is referencing the fact that yes, demons may try to pick up a Darkin weapon, as was shown with Atakan, and that's probably what this is referencing.
Kinku, our pact was sure to break. By my hand or yours.
This is referencing his alliance with the Kinku during the comic, where he became an honorary member of, well, he didn't become a Kinku, but he was just let go free, as the comic said, and that's because they did both fight side by side, but it's interesting to think that sure, Zaahen can betray the Kinku after he goes mad, that's kind of what he thought would happen, but it is interesting to see him think that the Kinku would betray him. And I'm gonna assume once again that's only gonna happen if he goes mad after becoming a Darkin.
Run, Shuriman. You face a god and monster of our history.
That is true. The Darkin are responsible for the Great Darkin War, which ruined half of the world.
To fight the void once more. This I will savor.
Once more! So it is cool to see that Zaahen was likely somewhere on the battlefield when Ikathia happened, unless he just fought the void somewhere else. And remember that yes, the Shuriman army retreated by the end when Ikathia went mad and they summoned the void, so it makes sense for him to still be around. And yes, everyone greatly hates the void now, so it makes sense for him to savor it.
If man and scythe had worked as one, you might have prevailed.
This is not the first time someone mentioned that, like, if they would have worked together, both of them would have been something better. I believe Hui also had a voice line about this. I believe he said that if Cain blended with Rast or something like that, then the two would actually become something greater. And technically, Zaahen shows us what might happen if the two agree to be together. Varus is not the same idea.
World Ender, my brother, enough.
So the God Killer is a reference to the fact that Aatrox did indeed kill War. Or, the aspect of war. World Ender, that's kind of just his title because he is really good at just destroying everything. And again, they are technically brothers, or at least like not directly. They are brothers in arms.
Be at peace, Seneschal. You have given all you can.
He did indeed give him his entire body.
My friend, I warned you. I was never to return.
Yes, this is the entire point of Zaahen's lore in the entire comic, and in fact in the entire storyline, where Zaahen banished himself because he knew one day he would be a Darkin. And so he warned her.
For who you were. For who you must be again.
For who you were is a reference to the fact that every Darkin was ascended first. For who you must be... Interesting question. I guess they all must be dead, which is why it's a reference for, you know, killing a Darkin.
God warrior, rest beneath the sands.
A god warrior is indeed what the great ascendant of the Shuriman army were called.
Through noble purpose we regain ourselves.
Noble purpose? Who did he fight for? He fought for Azir, and now he's not even believing that Azir is the great emperor that he thought he would be, so... What is your noble purpose? I guess the noble purpose is cleansing the Darkin.
I rise above ruin, above redemption!
He's quite mad for someone who is trying to redeem himself.
Such rage, my kin. Such futility.
I do have to say, I really like just how many voice lines he has with the Darkin and with anyone who is related to the story. I really like this far more than Yunara. Yunara was kind of like grounded. Her voice lines didn't reveal anything crazy, and that is because most of her lore was revealed through her bio and through the comics. But here, there is history being written.
You cannot undo what you set free.
Oh, this is cool. Revive triggered by Xinzhou. Of course, this is a what-if scenario, because once again, the Summoner's Rift is kind of like Super Smash Bros, where anything can happen, but this is a really cool voice line specifically against Xinzhou.
Savor this battle, Aatrox. It is your last taste of freedom.
No, because even while Aatrox trying to take over someone's body and technically have a body to walk with, he still doesn't consider himself free. He still feels like he is imprisoned and shackled by mortal flesh, which is what his entire story is about. So you know what? You're wrong here.
Lost, caught in a clash of wills. But know this, a greater war awaits you.
Greater war? I guess he's talking about the Void, because outside of that, unless he's talking about killing more Darkin or fighting the Void, I am not sure what war he's talking about.
How noble to seek unity, Nefiri, if it amounts to more than brutality.
I like that this is a what-if scenario for Nefiri allying with Zaahen, but at the same time, I don't think this would happen because Nefiri is so far gone in frenzy that she just wants to destroy anything for her punishment, or rather for her imprisonment.
Varus, you seem closer to humanity. Heed it, or be hunted.
But again, remember that Varus is technically 3 people in one, so it's not Varus, it's Valmar and Kai, and it would have been cool if Zaahen talked to them specifically, because his story is very similar to the one of Varus, except Xinzhou is replacing the 2 Ionian hunters.
Seneschal, resolute even in the fields of memory, we rise as one.
They do rise as one. Once again, technically speaking, Zaahen is the eye on the forehead, and the body still belongs to Xinzhou, except Xinzhou is gone and his spirit is destroyed, so he is dead.
You stood eternal guard, my friend. Let me match this devotion.
And once again, yes, Yunara was known as the devoted maiden, at least in all the legends, and she stood guard over his prison for all eternity, until eternity ended and the current story happened.
Yunara, this war took everything from you. How could I ask you to fight once more?
I still love this relationship between Zaahen and Yunara, because these 2 champions make so much sense together, because once again, Yunara is the one who gave everything she could for Zaahen to be safe in the spirit realm and to protect the world, and now Zaahen is in a position where he's like, oh, I should be giving back somehow.
I will see beyond our madness. I will rise above all that has broken our minds. Steal the mind, temper the flesh, hunt the fallen.
Of course, the Fallen, in this context, are the Darkin, and he's stealing his mind because the Darkin are crazy, and tempering the flesh because, technically, the Darkin are tempering the flesh.
This body was given in blood, and to blood it returns.
I kinda like this, except it sounds kinda dishonorable because it is the body of Xinjiao, so one would think that he wouldn't want to do anything bad to it, and so for it to return to blood, sure, he's right in the sense of, you know, from dust to dust, but again, he should be more noble about it.
There was warmth in the flames of war, but I chose the cold. I chose the silence.
Once again, this is a reference to him choosing to be banished in the spirit realm.
Beneath my wings, the Sunborn joined me in immortality. Now, beneath my blade, they must die.
I wonder if this means that Zaahen was some kind of a commander on the battlefields of the Golden Army. I wonder if this is something that the bio will reveal once it's up. And I still have no idea if it is even up.
Few were offered the rites of ascension. Even fewer were truly worthy.
This is true. So this is referencing two things. First of all, there weren't that many ascended. Sure, there were, I would assume, maybe like 100-ish, but not every ascended was truly worthy of the power that was given to them. Sometimes there was an ascended who was given great power, but maybe their mind wasn't right, maybe they were slightly crazy, and so that started spinning in a totally different direction. But also, don't forget that there are also the unworthy ascended. I forgot their names because, once again, it's been very long. But the broken ascended, which are the unworthy, are in Legends of Runeterra, and there are many of them, and so that is what Zaahen is referencing. The Bakai! I remembered they are called the Bakai!
As I bound my kin, they were mortal again, for a moment. But it is past, and they are lost.
A really cool reference to the Darkin, who they are, and what he wants them to be.
How easy it would be to destroy all of this. It would be empty.
I like how he has this inner struggle, because to be a Darkin means that he is slowly gonna be corrupted, and he will slowly hunger for more power because of all the blood magic, but he is trying to stay sane.
Corruption tears at the edge of my mind, taunting, tempting.
Again, this is exactly what I just mentioned. This is likely all happening not necessarily because of his past fighting with the Void, but because of the blood magic that was given to him by Zolani when he fought her.
The trial never ends. In every instant, every motion, keep the Darkin at bay.
I like that this is a reference to the Trial of Twilight, and so his trial is still going on. He is still trying to make sure he doesn't succumb to the insanity of the Darkin.
Memories bleed together now. A kingdom I never knew, and an empire long gone.
So he's talking about the memories of Xinjiao, which he gained after the two merged together, and he's talking about the kingdom of Demacia and the empire. No, never mind. He's talking about the kingdom of Demacia on one side, and the other side is the empire long gone, which is from Zaahen's perspective, the Shuriman Empire.
An age-long war begins again. On which side do you fight?
He is once again talking about the Darkin War, except there isn't really a second Darkin War. It is just Zaahen now being released into the world, seeking out other Darkin.
Those who serve fallen gods forfeit their life.
Here he is talking about the many followers of the Darkin.
None should meddle with the power of gods.
This is technically a reference to the cinematic again, and here he's not talking about the power of the Darkin, he's specifically talking about him becoming an Ascended, which is mortals meddling with the power of gods.
The mortal heart still beats within, steady, unyielding.
It is interesting that he's talking about the beating heart of Xin Zhao, despite the fact that Xin Zhao is by all means dead.
I will return to the light, bloodied if I must.
Interestingly enough, here he is talking about, or likely talking about, the light of the sun disk, because he would like to return back to the old glory of being just an ascended and not a Darkin.
The glaive obeys me, not the will of war.
Weren't you the glaive technically? But I'm gonna assume that he's talking about the glaive as in just a weapon, kind of like a master of arms.
I am only evil, deferred.
Once again, that is a line directly from the cinematic, where he is a Darkin banished, aka evil deferred.
Fallen gods mistake their ruin for glory. The lure of madness will not shake me from what must be done.
I kinda like how a lot of these voice lines are very poetic, because we are talking about the Darkin who is aware of his own corruption, and so all the words feel really noble.
I seek the Sunborn, whose veins run with rot.
I like this. I like that he's calling them Sunborn, because again, that is one of the names that the Ascended used, and their veins running with rot is indeed the corruption of the Darkin.
Inevitable.
Well, and there we go, getting blinded by the Skin Spotlights outro. But yeah, I have to say, these voice lines are really good. I did not expect them to be that heavy. I mean, again, it makes sense for Zaahen to have heavy voice lines because he is someone who is noble and wise and someone who didn't go completely insane. I mean, compare it to Aatrox, who is just shouting a lot. Also, there is a lot of background that we still can't talk about, which we will do that in the next video, because if you have a look at Zaahen, look, there are portions of his body that, I'm talking about the armor specifically, that were actually taken from Xin Zhao, so you can see a lot of Xin Zhao's armor around him. Once again, as I mentioned, the eye on his forehead is actually Zaahen taking over the body and Xin Zhao letting him do that. And also, every single ability is a reference to Xin Zhao's kit, so there is a lot that we can talk about, and the best of all, he is not a Squidward in the end.